What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we're here to talk about some Orcs Must Die 3. We are going through the 16th campaign level, the basement, and the main campaign of Orcs Must Die 3, or the Old Friends campaign, as it's been redubbed since the additional content was added.
I have returned. After a long
This level,
journey to the Order
actually, let's just
that
hit a little tidbits
Warwick's
first.
still alive? He's super evil now? And after he was banished, he figured out how to spawn these red rifts everywhere and command the orcs?
You see the red rift out of the left window if you go back a little bit there. But, yeah, this level is really tight. There's not a lot of space, and there's very little ceilings that you can use unless you want a door rush. Which makes this a little bit challenging for some people. The hardest thing to do is kind of guard your rift, and I'm going to go over the strategy that I used to do that, which is kind of to join the lanes. It's not something that you absolutely have to do here, but it makes it easier. You don't need those traps on the left side of the wall that I used in the introduction there. They really aren't necessary if you're going to use the Bladestaff. They may be if you want to use the blunderbuss. But this isn't a movie. This isn't a vid with the blunderbuss up, so you kind of don't have to worry about that. But you can clear it just by using the Ice Amulet and the Bladestaff. I like to use these 3 ballista on this side mainly because they help taking care of the ogres, and if you rush the lighter minions, they can be killed before the ballista get too many shots off. And you'll see now, rather than having to slowly whittle the enemies down with the Bladestaff at the end when we only have the large minions left, the ballista kind of just blow them away. Which is great, that's what we want. Now, here's what we actually do for the defense here, because those first 3 waves are kind of just an introduction to the level, so you get an idea of where things are coming from. We basically create a wall of barricades down the center of this lane to give us an aisle of sorts. There's a side where the enemies will be running down that is not trapped, and then they will get to an area that's trapped and has tar on it. The tar slows the enemy down so that your auto ballista become more accurate, and the Arcane Brimstone may not be the absolute best trap here, but it will catch any runners that happen to come through, so you don't have to worry about those. If you want to switch out or add some extra floor traps here, that's completely possible, and I definitely should have taken care of the archer that's been shooting me in the back here repeatedly a lot sooner. It's a good idea if you're going to do something like this to not only watch out for the archers who generally come up mixed in the packs to kind of pepper you with arrows, or at the rear, and that placement of that brimstone there just it angered me slightly when I was playing. But yeah, look out for the archers and watch the ogres that are in dense packs, mainly because the ogre charge makes things very, very unpredictable for you. If it happens to charge through a couple of enemies and they land in the lower sections, you have to either hope that the arrows from your ballista can target them and take them out as they're going up the ramps, or they might show up behind the rift and run in which case you'll have to displace yourself to go fight them. And if you haven't cleared enough enemies, that can result in a loss of your 5 skulls. Which, isn't the worst thing. This stage is relatively short, it's like 10 minutes. At most, if you're going for par. So replaying it isn't really that bad. It's just, if you're the kind of person that gets frustrated if you have to replay it very often trying to get it, then that can be a bit of a problem. But ultimately, this kind of works out. You don't need to extend this as far as I do either. At some point you could probably just place more ballista. Like, this really is far enough to make sure that you can take everything out. Just making sure that you have about a set of like 4 to 6 traps going on the ground, and then The rest of it being auto ballista, and the ballista will shoot the heavier enemies, and you can see the runners kind of coming around there. I was able to take them out because they got slowed on the tar. Brimstone kind of does the same job, but it's not as reliable in this case just because of how tightly packed the enemies are. But you know, the Bladestaff and tar actually work extremely well for just dealing with bunched up enemies, so that's really nice. Kind of wish that there was some more ceiling space that you could use, maybe a flat ceiling rather than the curved one that they have over this area, just so you could use gravity wells. It would have been a bit more interesting. I kind of feel like that extreme vertical range that the gravity well has doesn't really, they don't allow you to use it on too many levels. I think there's maybe like a quarter of the levels in the game that actually have places where that actually matters. But that's okay, you know. I'm sure that as they add more DLC traps and things like that, you know. Oh, if they add more DLC traps, because we've only had one DLC so far, and we don't know what else is planned per se. You know, we could get some levels where that might actually be useful again. But one of the things that you can do to try to stop the ogres as they're charging through there is, if you're using the Bladestaff, back up a few steps and then aim slightly above the orcs' heads. Because the other enemies are a lot taller, just aiming slightly over their heads will allow you to shoot the ogres. And that's one of the examples of the enemies actually making it up the ramps without your ballista actually shooting at them, which is annoying. You know, the ballista targeting isn't 100%. I'm not sure of the exact search range for them trying to shoot enemies. But if I placed a few more ballista, like I'm doing now, it may have actually been able to shoot them as they were coming up the stairs, and I wouldn't have had to worry about that at all. So, you know, one of the things that I keep telling people, and I sometimes even forget to do myself, is it's important to have your damage up before you worry about placing too many barricades. Barricade setups are nice, but if you can kill everything before they even have to path further, then you should do so, rather than worrying about the pathing specifically. You know, dead is better than delayed always in this game, as far as going for the 5 skulls anyway, or trying to clear for speed. But this is really a build that's about a safe defense, something that isn't super difficult to set up, and hopefully not too complicated for a lot of people. And this is currently the hardest difficulty that the game allows, so that's a thing too. Like, it's not meant to be simple or easy, but you know, I don't feel like this particular setup is really hard or at all. So, you know, good luck with anybody trying to go through Rift Lord. It is somewhat challenging, considering the severe lack of go breaks that they give you, and the fact that if you want to actually sell anything, you only have those 3 seconds between waves while the countdown's happening. So that's kind of crazy too. And this is pretty much the last wave. The par on this is about 10 minutes. So, again, this level goes by like lightning fast. It's not super long. The longest levels on this game are pretty much just the war scenarios. So, it's interesting to see a stage with a time this short, this late. And I'm lucky that because of all the damage that those lighter orcs are taking, when the ogre charge, they're basically dead already. And that should be pretty much the last bit of the wave. You can see the ballista actually shooting them on the ramp coming up now, which is great. And that's exactly why you want to place more ballista, rather than extending everything else. You can prevent the ogre charge by either using the blunderbuss or just not freezing the ogre as you're getting close to minions to use the Bladestaff. But that's going to be it for this level. Let me know what you guys think of the clear, and feel free to follow me both here on YouTube and on Twitch, twitch.tv/VermillionPhoenix, just like it's spelled on YouTube, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Till then, peace.